So now I'd like to show you how to make lemon and oregano roast potatoes. And I know, usually you like to have mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving because you want to put your gravy on it and all that. But I'm asking you to consider something different this year. A Mediterranean style roast potato, a little crispy around the edges, roasted in our healthful olive oil with lemon juice, dried oregano, and just enough salt. I think you're going to find they're really delicious and they're great accompaniment to your turkey. Also, I've kind of switched things up. So when we get around to our sweet potato recipe, that will be more like a mashed potato. So we don't want to have everything mashed. So this evening, I'm going to show you how to do these lemon and oregano roast potatoes. So I in the recipe, you'll see it says red skin potatoes, but my shopper who shopped for me got these white skin ones, which is fine because this is also a really nice thin skin potato. And I like using these for roast because you don't have to peel them. So that saves you a whole lot of time. And they're all kind of a similar size. The thing with making roast potatoes is you want the pieces all to be about the same size so that they cook at the same rate. So I'm going to cut this first in half and then in quarters. If they were, if they got much bigger than this, I would do them in quarters again. But I think these are fine quartered like this. And oh my goodness, these knives at the Marriott Laboratory Kitchen are so great. Much better than mine at home. They just slice through these potatoes like butter. One thing I learned about roasting potatoes, which people may not know, or for that matter, roasting any vegetable, if you want it to be crispy, do not salt it before you put it in the oven. Wait and salt it after it's cooked. And the reason is because most vegetables are filled with water. You can probably see the water just glistening from these potatoes. And if you salt them, it draws the water out of them, which what that will do on your cookie sheet, instead of roasting, it will actually start to steam your potatoes. So you don't want them to be that way. You don't want them to be mushy. You want them to be roasted and kind of crispy. So that's my little secret. Salt at the end. These are going to be luscious. They're a really beautiful potato. And you can use really any potatoes for this, but the big ones that are designed for baking are a little mealier. That's why I like to use a thin skin, whether it's a red skin or like these yellow ones are really nice. Okay, so there we have our potatoes. That was about a dozen. I don't know how many people you're going to be having for Thanksgiving, but this would be plenty of potatoes here, considering you have so many dishes. And I like to have a few left over because they're always nice to reheat the next day. So the next thing I'm going to do is take our trusty old olive oil. And it says in the book, what did I say? A quarter cup of olive oil. I kind of don't measure things anymore, but I'm just going to eyeball it. What I want to do is I want to put enough olive oil on these potatoes so that they're coated, but they're not kind of swimming in it, So it's probably, maybe it's not quite a quarter cup, so why don't you do what I'm doing. Sprinkle it on, and then using your good clean hands, which we use a lot in Greek cooking, just rub the oil all over your potatoes, okay? You want to coat all the sides. And this will prevent them from sticking to the pan. And the other good thing to know is that I've said in the recipe, well, you can cook these for 30 minutes and then flip them over and cook them again. But that was kind of in the old school when I didn't have a convection oven that I was working with. But if you're working with a convection oven, you really don't have to flip them. You can just keep on cooking and they'll keep on going very well for you. Now, once you've got your hands all lubed up, you can use this for hand cream if you want to, but don't pick up your knife now because you might cut yourself. So we've got our potatoes all oiled up. The next thing I'm going to do is move this aside, and I'm just going to cut one of my lemons because I want to squeeze lemon juice on these. So, of course, to bring the juice out in the lemon, I usually roll it a little bit first. It just breaks up the little sections inside and makes the lemon nice and juicy. And then, this is my favorite. I don't know if you all have this at home, but this is my favorite lemon juicer. So you put your cut lemon in here, cut side down, and then when you press it and you hold it over your potatoes, it's going to let all the juice come out. Let me move this out of the way so you can see well. Well, I think I put it right in the way, so let's move it. Oh, there we go. That's good. How about this? Just like that. And you know what happens? They say you get 20% more juice out of your lemons by using this little apparatus. So it's worth its weight in gold if you get more lemon juice. The other thing is it doesn't allow the pits to come out. So you don't get any pits on your potatoes, which is really nice. So you don't want to be having to pull those out afterward. Now, while I said we're not going to salt these, we are going to put dried oregano on them. This is dried oregano that I brought home from Greece this summer, and it is so fragrant. It just smells delicious. And oregano has all kinds of healthful properties, like it's antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral. In the time of COVID, this is very important. We should put this on everything we eat. So I'm going to use copious amounts of oregano and sprinkle this very generously over my potatoes. And in addition to being really good for you and making them taste really good, the other thing is that while these are cooking, they're going to smell like heaven with this oregano on them. Now I'm going to take these and put them in my preset oven, which was on 400 degrees, and I'm going to let them go for about 30 minutes. And if you don't have a convection oven, you want to check them and maybe flip them at that point, and then we can put a little bit more lemon juice on at the end. Okay? So let's take these to the oven, and when you see them next, they should be nice and crispy all around the edges. So I wanted to show you, this is 30 minutes on my potatoes, and they look really good. They're nice and crispy. On the outside, they're nice and crispy. They're a little bit still firm on the inside, so I'm going to just put a little bit more lemon juice on these. I've got a really serious convection oven here, so it's not going to take another 30 minutes for these to cook. I'm going to sprinkle another probably half of a lemon on these, put them back in for maybe another 5 minutes, and they should be good. So this is what I'd like you to encourage you to think about. A recipe, it's really important to follow a recipe, especially for baking, because that's really kind of like chemistry. But where cooking is concerned, ovens are really, really different, and sometimes the way the oven I use when I tested these recipes is much different from the ones I'm cooking on, especially when they're in commercial kitchens. So you are going to have to use your nose as a judge to decide when your potatoes are done. So if they start looking crispy like this and they feel tender to the touch, just monitor them closely from there on. You don't want these to get a whole lot darker. We just want them to soften up a little bit in the middle. So what I might do, in fact, is add another half lemon juice, another half of lemon juiced over them, and then maybe lower it down to about 350 and just put them back in for another 5 to 10 minutes until they're really soft in the middle. Okay? So here we have our handy dandy lemon zester one more time, because it's the best way to do this. Ooh, and you know what? This lemon was not really as juicy as my first one, so I'm going to use the whole thing. Okay, great. So we're going to put those back in the oven. As I said, I'm going to turn mine down a little bit. This oven's real hot. It was at 400. I'll probably put it at 350 and keep it in there for just maybe 5 to 10 more minutes, okay? So you monitor yours too, and they'll be great. Everybody's going to love these. And the last thing we'll put on them when we plate them is the salt, okay? See you in a bit. Okay, so here we have our lemon oregano roast potatoes right out of the oven. And as I mentioned earlier, the only thing we have left to do now is to give them a little sea salt. And again, I don't want to overdo it. People can add a little extra salt if they need to at the table, but just for right now, let's put a little bit on here. I don't have all the holes here open, just a couple of them. Only about half of them are open, so we don't get too much. But I really don't think when you take a look at these and you have a nice whiff of them, I don't think your family is going to complain about not having mashed potatoes this Thanksgiving. So hope you'll enjoy these lemon oregano roast potatoes a la Grand